Someone figured shit out. Someone figured shit out. And that would be me. It only took 3 months to figure out I could add sounds to this goddamn thing. So it's time to drink up. Salud. All right, it is episode 18 of the $9 podcast. Podcast is now eligible to be drafted. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You tell me. All right. It's going to be pretty much a AEW heavy episode because, quite frankly, I didn't watch much of WWE. I know, shocking, I know. Well, let's get started. All right, start with Full Gear. Again, never bet against the boy AEW when it comes to pay-per-views. They hit it home run every goddamn time. Was it bloody? Hell yeah, it was bloody. You got blood. You got like the blood and guts matches leading up to it. It was like it's been a bloody month for them, but bloody. Red equals green. So that's a age old wrestling thing. Blood red equals green, and it's a to see the growth of Kyle Fletcher over the past couple months to being the absolute stud that he is right now. It's the future is bright. I've said it more than once. The future is bright for AEW because they have the old heads like Joe win the title again. I have no problem with Joe winning the title again because Joe is a bad man. He's always been a bad man. Am I gonna tell him he can't? No. I'm not gonna tell him he can't. And Mark Briscoe winning the TNT title, it was well deserved. Well deserved. It's like he's been putting it. It's sort of like a thank you for like the past year, past run for past year that he's been on. Just knocking it out of the park every time he's asked, and it's long overdue. It's part of you. It's sort of like making up for not being allowed to have him and Jay, from like day one. Because just imagine how the Briscoes day one, day one in the AEW. It's like it's one of those what if scenarios. It's like it's one of the what if scenarios that plays out real well, TEW booking simulators and stuff, but you never know what's going to be live. You don't expect it to actually happen, right? I mean, look at the boys. I told you like 5 years ago the boys were going to get fired WWE twice. Going back and then getting fired again. It's like, no. You can't really prepare for that stuff. Can't really prepare to that stuff at all, right? But in defeat, like Kyle Fletcher, like cemented himself as the future. That kid has a good head on his shoulders. He understands the business. He takes advice from vets like a pro. It's like MVP's talked about that more than once. It's like he absorbs information like a sponge. He doesn't blow everybody off. Just constantly trying to improve. If TK better lock his ass up because WWE sharks will be circling. If there'll be contract talks swirling around him like in a couple of years or so, closer he gets to the end of his contract, but locking him down. I mean, he's only like 26, right? Imagine what he's going to be like in 5 years from now. He's 31, just entering his prime. But then again, wrestling primes have shifted. It's like wrestling primes now are like in their 40s, late 30s. It used to be late 30s, early 40s was like everybody had everything dialed in. But some guys hit quicker than others. And it's the danger is you don't want to burn them out too soon, right? It's like just steady the course. Like you can go with a hot hand, but you resist the temptation to go to the hot hand because Meltzer has said it. His opinion is like do it now. Just put the belts on them now. Build up the youth. And if that would be true, if it's like in WWE, right? Which is something they're not doing really well. They claim to be doing well, but they're not really doing well. But AEW set for like the next 10 to 15 years at least. Because you got your top guys now, and then you got like a whole bunch of whole bunch of talent under 30 that are getting in the reps, getting into TV time, working with top talent, getting mentored by legends. It's like when the bell rings, they're gonna go. They're gonna get ready. If they have their heads on straight, they're going to thrive. They're going to thrive, right? Then they announced the Continental Classic, and it's like, I haven't seen a lineup this stacked since like 2015 G1. That's saying something, right? When you have Takeshita, Fletcher, and Okada all in, it's like, it's sort of a luxury that you can run storylines throughout the tournament, right? G1s, more or less, they tended to stay away from that, overt stuff. But there's been occasions like past G1s where it's like the Bullet Club will interfere in every match, or Okada going on a redemption arc, or Hiroki Goto going on a redemption arc. But that's like every year for Goto, because Goto's a Ronin, right? And he's always been he's been if it's the Ronin archetype. So you can get heated up any time because he's steady and dependable, right? I like Joe being champ again because in the back, he's going to have no shortage of people wanting to jump him. Hangman, yes. A newly buffed Swerve, looks like came back, looked like he ate old Swerve. It's like he spent all his free time basically hitting the heavyweights. Ridiculous. He's talked about it like in interviews where it's like complaining about having to eat so often because you gotta fuel that body, right? And it is a struggle, right? You hear stories about The Rock, having to eat like 4,500 calories, 6,000 calories a day just to maintain his physique for Black Adam. Eating every 2 hours, it sounds fun in theory, but then you realize that's every 2 hours, right? And it can get tiring if you're doing it daily. And I understand that. And it's like, it's a great way to shock your body if you're not really prepared for it. I mean, you got Swerve, and then like tonight on Collision, as I'm taping this, it's like, Eddie, good old Eddie, Eddie Kingston, the Mad King, basically threw his hat in the ring, basically, the equivalent of like, walking up to Joe and like, challenging the biggest guy in the yard, basically. Because, Eddie had a match with Shibata, and it was the best he's looked since he's come back. He's been doing the working tags and stuff to get back, work off the ring rust. But now I think he's ready to go. And you're going to see it like winter is coming, because that's when, well, Joe hasn't accepted it yet, but yeah, I think Joe's going to accept it in the next week's Dynamite. And it's like, next week's Dynamite, by the way, fucking A, right? Dream matches, dream matches, dream matches, dream matches. Tournament matches. You gotta love tournament matches, right? No interference, no bullshit, right? And you got Pac versus Okada. Pac versus Okada. It's like, for second time in AEW, and it's like, new, but then again, the last time they wrestled was like Wrestle Dream, and this is like, it's a different Pac. It's a different Pac, and Little Kazu's. I think they're going to use this tournament to morph like Little Kazu into New Japan Rainmakers right in time for the finals of the Continental Classic, because Wrestle Kingdom's a week after, so he's going to be full Rainmaker level when he faces Tanahashi at the Dome. And they keep adding seats to the Dome, but the Dome's technically sold out. But they're going to be their most highest selling card in like at least a decade and a half, which is great. It was great for them. They've been through a down period. And I hope it's a good rebound for New Japan, right? Stat and Mercedes, Stat is apparently, it's going to be basically the great white whale for Mercedes to chase, because it seems like they're setting up a storyline where it's like, okay, she's won everywhere but everywhere but AEW, the big one. She won every other title, except for the AEW one, and full bias here, and the Super Asia Championship, because she's never going to take it from May, because she fears May. I'll go down. I'll swear on a stack of Bibles, and May will take her out. I've been trying to will this match into existence for the past 2-something years now, right? And I'm not the only one. A lot of the Choco Mints, which are the Choco Pro fans, call themselves in their group chat. Have been basically spamming Mercedes and AEW for the past 2 years, going, "Hey, when are you bringing in May? We want to see May versus Mercedes." And May, and the Best Bros are in the U.S. right in the U.S. starting next week, so you might see a little Apple Goblin appearance, perhaps in AEW, maybe at the Hammerstein, maybe. Hopefully, it's like wishful thinking, but hey, I don't really ask for much. Shit. You keep wondering when Jay White's coming back, because he keeps teasing he's coming back, and then the Bang Bang Gang are back to being unhinged. Juice is back to being unhinged Juice. His mullet's coming in sweet, right? They just challenged FTR for the titles. I like me a little bit of serious Bang Bang Gang, because they do have a winning record against FTR. You know who else has a winning record against FTR? My boys, Butcher and the Blade. FTR's never beaten them. And Pepper is very close to being cleared. Pepper's very close to being cleared. In a couple weeks, they're doing Blissmas up in Buffalo, and the Butcher's in charge of the wrestling card, and he has to announce who most of the card, and I have a feeling that the boys, I have the feeling that Butcher and Blade are gonna reunite at Blissmas in Buffalo. Because I think there was a little bit of talk that the Hoots were going to be facing Butcher and Blade at Blissmas. So kayfabe that, right? Just kayfabe that, because to me that screams money. That screams, it's a money match. The way you slice it, right? And yeah, it's great that Joe's champ right now, but does everybody remember MJF has a contract in hand that he can cash in at any time? Well, he can cash in. We have to give a week in advance. We notice, week in advance notice that he's going to cash it in. He's got that in his back pocket. It makes you wonder when he's going to pull it, when he's going to come back, because he's threatened to come back. It's about time that he comes back, because he just got done doing another movie. Hollywood MJF. Good for that kid, right? He's been busting his ass. He deserves it, right? Like Happy Gilmore 2 did real well for him. It's like he got his foot in the door, I think. And see if there's any more stuff like that in the future for him. Hopefully, as long as it doesn't doesn't become like a coin flip, whether or not he goes full Hollywood or AEW, or he keeps one foot in each, right? Because you can't really half-ass either one, right? And speaking of half-assing, it's like Mox lately. Mox and the Death Riders. Okay, Claudio and Pac are looking at him like Brutus looked at Julius Caesar. It's only a matter of time, right? Where they stab him in the back, and it will probably be either Hammerstein or World's End. It's been everybody thinks they know when it's going to happen, but I've been getting shit on Falcon's Nest because I keep predicting it and it doesn't happen. It's like, hey, eventually I'm going to be right. Eventually I'm going to be right. So, I'm not worried if I'm wrong. It's like, wouldn't be the first time. So at least I can admit it. Like, unlike some clickbait merchants. I mean, yes, I said it. Clickbait merchants. Speaking of clickbait merchants, it's like about the collision tonight, since it was taped from Thanksgiving, a lot of the dirt sheets ran with it, trying to posting spoilers for the show, and the spoilers end up being wrong. It's like, and wrong. I mean, spectacularly wrong. It's like basically they had the wrong winners for almost every match on the show. And it's like, okay, who fucked with them, right? It was bad enough that TK got on Twitter and basically going, hey, well, what happened? I don't understand this. What could have gone wrong? I have no idea. Part of me thinks, if I was a suspicious sort, I would say somebody in AEW purposely leaked that, or purposely told somebody at AEW purposely told them the wrong results. Trying to catch a leaker. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, we had Dynamite, first round matches. Okada versus Fletcher was I wish they had 5 more minutes, at least 5 more minutes, maybe 10, because it was structured like a New Japan match. Because as soon as if you've seen a New Japan match, you know what I mean, right? As soon as as soon as he hits a drop, as soon as he hits a drop kick, then then Big Match Kazu shows up, and it just gets nuts after that. It was if they went half an hour, it would have match of the year. But, 20 minutes. It's a good teaser because they're gonna go longer eventually for something. It was a very good teaser. It's like, and Collision, they had Takeshita, fucking Takeshita and Roddy Strong. Never knew, hard hitting as fuck, right? Takeshita giving a blue thunder bomb to Roddy on the barricade. Good God. Strong boy. Strong boy. See, he'll do matches like this, and then he'll go back to DDT, and he'll be wrestling Yoshihiko. And barely holding his own against Yoshihiko, by the way, because Yoshihiko ain't nothing to fuck with. There's a reason you don't really see Yoshihiko in U.S. promotions, many U.S. promotions. It's because, one, he's too violent. That son bitch is too violent for American sensibilities. No one's ready for 10 Canadian destroyers in a row, right? It's like anybody that gets thrown out of a 4-story window and comes back to wrestle like 10 minutes later. Yeah, it's basically, okay, how do you pin this guy, right? For crying out loud. You had the Elite finally reconciling. You could say it took long enough, but no. So one thing that the Elite is constantly is the slow burn storylines. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they go the trios route with Kenny, because Kenny's looking better, actually, I think. He's almost looking like he's shed more weight. If he's getting back to AEW, I mean PWG weight, Kenny, look the fuck out, because you thought he was fast before. PWG Kenny is a different beast altogether. It's like Don Callis family drama. Okada playing a dickhead so well. He's in his I think he's settled into what his groove is. He's finally embraced it. Embraced the whole thing about working in US TV and stuff. Because born comedian, right? The thing about Okada, it's always been said, it's like he's a main eventer trapped in the body of a comedy wrestler. Or actually, wrong. Comedy wrestler trapped in the body of a main eventer, right? Long-time New Japan fans will understand. It's like, when he went through the balloon Okada. Balloon Okada is closest to real Okada. Okada is a big silly boy. And it's be interesting to see how Okada getting upset in the first round. It's basically it was a very Gato booking type thing. I wonder if TK had consulted with Gato about how to lay up the tournament, because I have a feeling there might be one of these blocks can end up like a 3-way tie, and they're gonna have to have a 3-way match. A 3-way match to determine who goes into the finals. Because when you get down to it, basically, what makes the Continental Classic so great, it's basically, okay, it's formatted like a G1, but the matches are Battle of Los Angeles. So it's a melding of two of the great tournaments into its own little thing, right? And it's it's strictly, it's very amazing. You know, and I'm wondering, if Mox really wants to work with Tony Storm, because that's it. As soon as Tony got in the ring on Dynamite and basically called him every name under the sun and was basically just belittling the fuck out of him. I was like, everybody on Square Circle Red was basically going, okay, when are Tony and Mox going to have a death match? And how quick is Mox going to tap out? That's how much equity Tony's character has gotten, right? When you're wondering, yeah, and character work Mox has been doing for the past year. It's like when you got like a deathmatch legend like Mox being referred to in that way, right? In a way now, considering his past, it's very great. It's great character work all around. I suppose I should talk about Survivor Series being here on Saturday, because they've had a last minute, they sold like 6,000 tickets in the last 4 days. See, everybody's freaking out, going, "Oh my God, WWE's doing great." No, here's the deal. Let me tell you how it is. As a San Diegan, it's historically in San Diego, when WWE comes to town, they barely move any tickets till the day of. It's always been that way. Always been that way. You want to get, used to be with the house shows. It's like, you want to guarantee a sell on San Diego, Rey Mysterio must main event. Once you put Bray on the card, it's like they come up straight up from Tijuana the day of, and pack the place, and look, it's like an arena in Mexico. You have to see to believe it. And it's like, Ray technically doesn't have a match for Survivor Series, but Dom does, right? And Dom is doing great work in AAA. So I think part of it is, the crowd is invested in seeing Dominic get the rub from Cena. Beat Cena's last Survivor Series match. It's only got to propel him, right? Only got to propel him to higher, bigger heights. And that's well deserved, because he's been putting in the work, channeling his real father Eddie Guerrero. And other than that, it's like, again, I'm not really invested in Survivor Series. You'd think I would be. It's like, okay, but it's a 4-match card right now, 4 matches, and two of them are war games. And sure, it gives them extra time to do whatever, but you figure those two war games matches are each going to go probably an hour, right? So it's like 4 hours, 3 matches, it's like an hour. It just makes you wonder how many ads are going to stick into that thing. I just I have no idea. Speaking of ads, yeah, it's time to talk about merch. I loaded up more new merch. I know. How much merch do you need, Drew? I need all the merch. Variety. I need variety, son. It's like, I just posted it in the $9 podcast.dashery.com, and check it out. Here's the obligatory holidays are coming up. Spiel, right? I'm not gonna give you guys a hard sell, right? So you get enough of that like in everyday life. You know, if you like it, good. If you don't, it's like it's there as an option, right? Um, you want to email, $9 podcast at yahoo.com. Support the Patreon and the boys. Patreon.com/TalkNShop. And the boys are today, this morning are in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for WrestleCade. WrestleCade is a big time, it's a big time wrestling convention they hold every year in that area. It's like it's a veritable who's who of people not signed and not signed. Legends and newcomers. You can see a lot of people there, hawking wares, and they have matches. It's like tonight the boys are going to be facing the Hardys. It's like a 6-man, them and Ben Bishop against the Hardys and Zilla Fatu for Fourth Rope, because Fourth Rope is going to sponsor a match, sponsor a card tonight. And tomorrow they face Brodito. I think they dropped the AEW titles the other week because they didn't want the boys to take it from them. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And coming from there, I think they have like a couple more, like couple more independent shows, a couple days after that, and then maybe a couple days off, and then it's back to more of the grind. Just like everybody else, back to the grind. Christmas is coming. For Christ's sake.